You've probably heard the old saying, what you don't know can't hurt you. Ha! To the contrary, what you don't know can and will bite you in the ass, especially in real estate. This is the first video in a series on buying new construction where I'll tell you why you need a realtor, how to select a realtor, and why it is important to formally hire a realtor to represent you to have your back throughout the entire buying process. I'll get started right now. Hello, my name is Danny Lee, Texas Realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Premier Properties, the Bayou to Beach Group. I serve Brazoria and Galveston counties all the way from the Bayou City to the beach, and I love working with hometown heroes, educators, veterans, first responders, and healthcare professionals. Jumping into today's topics. 1. Why do you need a realtor? First off, you might also ask if it's a conflict of interest for a realtor to tell you that you need a realtor. Well, yes and no. As a full-time professional real estate agent, it is how I feed my family, so I certainly have a vested interest in the answer. For me personally, in working with my own clients, I'm very straightforward about this. I provide a service to my client to help them select the right home, potentially save money, avoid being taken advantage of, reduce stress, and minimize risk. For this service, I am paid a commission, but what you might not know is that I'm actually paid by the builder, so it doesn't come out of a buyer's pocket. Back to the original question, why do you need a realtor? A good realtor will help you in your new construction home selection process by being familiar with the area's new development communities, the builders in those communities, along with their current and anticipated inventory homes, and their frequently changing incentive programs. This is knowledge that you almost certainly don't already have at your fingertips, and a knowledgeable realtor should be hugely helpful in finding the right community, selecting the right builder, selecting the right inventory home that fits your needs and your budget. A qualified, experienced realtor will have a good working knowledge of new construction based on previously representing buyers in these types of transactions, so that once you've selected an inventory home, they'll be able to explain throughout the entire process what you can expect when contracting to purchase a home and what the builder will expect of you. Fear of the unknown when attempting something for the first time is hugely stressful, so having a representative who's been there and done that makes a difference. Throughout the transaction, they'll also demonstrate and share with the buyer a good working understanding of a variety of important bits of knowledge, such as the lender's expectations of the buyer and the lending process itself, of construction terminology, timelines and events such as initial and interim meetings with builder construction managers, and eventually first walkthroughs where the buyer uses blue painter's tape to mark up cosmetic or possibly worse problems, followed by a final walkthrough where the builder hopefully demonstrates that the marked problems are resolved. Further, the realtor can explain the benefits of, say, third-party inspections, title company activities, plus what you can expect at closing, and for the next 10 years while enjoying a warranty, while occasionally having that realtor help you to protest your property taxes. Maybe you're thinking, what if it isn't a buyer's first rodeo and they are already 110% aware of all the above? I would still say regardless, it's a big advantage to have a second set of eyes on the process from a professional realtor who will have that buyer's back, where, as a reminder, that professional's commission is paid by the builder, so it's free to the buyer. Frankly, it's a no-brainer. 2. How do you select a realtor? This is a twofold question which really boils down to the realtor's competence and whether their personality is a match. I think I mostly covered competence earlier, but it's essentially is experience, expertise, and knowledge. Have they previously represented buyers in new construction transactions? Did they receive good reviews from previous clients? Are they familiar with the area, with new construction communities, the builders, and available inventory? The personality match is a much more personal choice. Take me, for example. You probably noticed I like to have fun, have videos with a bit of goofy humor, including alpacas and unicorns. My intent is to attract those that are a good match And quite frankly, I also hope that I do not attract those that are not a fit. Some people, for example, might be more comfortable with a really serious guy with a closet full of suits and ties. There's no wrong answer. And there are plenty of great realtors of all types to go around. Find one that you like, and that will work for you. 3, why is it incredibly important to hire a realtor the right way? Every realtor in the state of Texas that is theoretically representing a buyer without a formal written agreement is not, I repeat, not actually representing that buyer. Here's why. Texas law states that an agent in a transaction without a written buyer's representation agreement in place with the buyer is actually representing the seller. This is called a subagent. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. If you have a relationship with an agent and y'all are running around town looking at houses without a written representation agreement, then that agent is not representing you. What's worse, state law mandates that an agent provide you with a notice called Information About Brokerage Services, also called the IABS, which explains the subagent concept in addition to other important brokerage and agency concepts. Plus, it makes it really clear that transactions in Texas must be based on written agreements. Here's an example IABS form. Note that if you have had substantive conversations with an agent about any property and they have not provided that IABS to you, then they're breaking the law and they're at risk of being fined by the Texas Real Estate Commission. Not a happy situation for you or the agent. So, why does this happen? Why do agents act as subagents without sharing the truth about it via the required IABS? I'm no expert in psychology, but I think it's because they are operating in fear. They're afraid to talk about the representation agreement, and especially their commission, with a consumer, because they know that many consumers are also operating in fear. Those consumers will be afraid to initial an IABS form, much less sign a buyer's representation agreement, because they are concerned that they'll be taken advantage of in a written agreement that they don't understand. Obviously, these are legitimate concerns for an ill-informed consumer that is suspicious of putting anything in writing. The problem, of course, is that without the representation agreement, they are implicitly being taken advantage of anyway, because the person that they think is their real estate agent is not actually representing them. This is not okay. Many agents take the easy way out by waiting until the buyer puts in their first offer on a home and then quietly slides in the representation agreement along with all of the other paperwork. This is not ethical. Consumers deserve better, and realtors have a code of ethics for a reason. If any of the above applies to you, then you probably have a really uncomfortable conversation with your hypothetical agent in your very near future. Whew! That was a really heavy topic with very little room for humor. Thanks for sticking with me. Here's an alpaca to ease the tension. P.S. If you're one of the consumers that I described lacking actual legitimate representation, please don't have your agent call me to ask why I ratted them out. Sometimes truth hurts. Thanks for watching. Our next video in this series will be all about the smart moves in selecting and contracting to purchase a new construction inventory home. Please subscribe and click the notification bell. If this video had value for you, please like and comment about what you liked or ask questions. I publish new videos every Tuesday. Buying process.